Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the News and Brews team. Here's anchor Tiki Felix.
Gracias, Mr. Producer. He keeps saying my name and it gets better every time. He's not butchering it so much. Have we had fun, guys?
Oh, it's been a blast.
We're having a great time.
I loved
Excellent
it.
time.
I loved it. What about you, Jacob? Tell me about your stories and your interviews today. I saw you a couple of times looking at the pictures, and we were very happy because your picture looks perfectly cropped for you to put it on any social media platform that you can use it.
So I've been having a blast with the interviews that I had with Nicole Wagner, Mike Unger, and Lisa Pierce, touching on, like we talked about earlier, everything from actual manufacturing that's going on in space, talking about small, medium, large-sized businesses and understanding what are you in this industry to do? What do you want your business to be? What's your end goal? And then also with Lisa, I love talking about the age-old debate of man versus machine and the productivity that workers have to undergo on a daily basis in these factories. And if you bring automation in when you're not ready and they're not ready, it's going to bring up more problems than you had before.
That's very interesting because you're touching up on a subject that we don't really talk about all the time. It's not just about making it happen, but when do you make it happen?
Yeah.
When do you implement all this great science and, new innovations that we're talking about?
Exactly.
And I saw your interview right now, and you did an amazing job as all the interviews. You were talking to this lady, and not just were you getting the points across. You guys were having a lot of fun. Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was great for me to learn more about the medical device industry from Marnie and Marley today. And, I try to go into the interviews talking on a more personal level and having a good conversation with a friend. But Marnie and I were having an exceptionally great conversation because of what she does being in research and development, but as well as in quality, because it's so crucial for the medical device space to focus on quality, the implications of safety there. So great insights.
It was something that you didn't expect to learn this time, or that you had it in your mind, but today it was corroborated.
Yeah, it was something that we did not necessarily plan out in a conversation and say, oh, well, yeah, we're going to talk specifically about this. It was definitely spur of the moment, learned something genuinely.
I love it. And of course, aquí, el profesional, the professional, as we say it in Mexico. All the interviews that you were having, Chris, and I'm making fun of it because he's such a, he's got this style when he's talking, even interviewing the person, slowing down to make sure that the message gets across. And you were telling me both interviews, you really like them. What do you like the most about them, and what did you learn today on the trade show?
Yeah, and I had a hunch some of this was going to happen, but with these conversations, as the Plastech West correspondent, as we're all focused on one element of this show, I knew they were going to go beyond the specific area we were going to focus on. For example, the plastics conversation, of course we were going to cover injection molding, advancements in injection molding, but they also bled over to automation and design, the other areas that we're all covering here, which is why an event like this is so critical, that brings together all of these different pieces of the manufacturing industry. I mean, I enjoyed the range of the conversations just with the two individuals I talked to today. We talked about, how do you start up a business? What inspired you to start up your business? Or, how do you make sure you're a fit for the culture with the team you're working on? And how do you make sure you're attracting the right people to that team to make sure you maintain that culture? So, yes, we talked about advancements in the plastics industry, but we also covered a lot of other areas that either impact other parts of manufacturing, whether that's design, whether that's automation, whether that's packaging. But we also covered the things that, maybe the more human elements of the conversation as well, like advancing your career, finding the right team, and taking that entrepreneurial leap. That's what I really loved about the conversations today.
And which is something that Jacob mentioned right now. We were talking about how did you scale your small business to a larger size, and how do you get it there? And the point also, you don't want to implement just any robotics or any system that might not be ready for the company, might make things a little bit more complicated, like you said.
And the thing that I loved about that too is also understanding why you want your business to be around. There's going to be some people where they're going to start their business and want their business to make them a certain amount of money, support their employees, but they want to retire at 60, 65, 70, whatever it is. and then they don't care what happens after. That's okay if that's what your plan is. But if your plan is longevity, if you want this company to be around long after you're gone, you need to work differently. You need to plan differently and keep transparency, as Chris was just mentioning, open with those team members. Whether you're trying to get a merger, whether you're trying to get acquired, whether you're trying to turn into the next company on a large scale, understand that not just as at the beginning, but your entire journey through that process.
And you know something that I really enjoyed? For instance, Drew interviewed a lot of people today, and you were walking the room and everything, Drew, but at the same time, I was able to really enjoy and grasp a lot of the components of the interview that you did with Christine Holly, talking not just about the manufacturing, but her story. How people like me, I'm a journalist. I'm not as smart as you guys are when it comes to this industry. So I'm learning, right? And it can be intimidating. And I'm glad that you touch up on something like that for the rest of us.
It was a really great opportunity to not only interview the people that I got to interview, but to sit in and watch everybody else's interviews. And a common theme that I think that I saw from everybody's interview, which is really crazy, in a world full of technology and an expo center with machines and robots and all of these different things, we all talked about people. We all talked about the human element of all of these things, how humans interact, how, we can change the way that our business practices are set up. We talked about workforce. We talked about babies in the NICU, and we brought all of these things, all of this mechanical, all of this technical things down to a human aspect. And I think sometimes when people think about our industry, we don't remember the human aspect. So putting it on a platform like this, putting on a forefront, and then having the guests that came in and spoke naturally about these things just show that our industry is headed in a great place.
I love it. What do you think, Sammy? Because you and I were walking the room. We had a lot of fun. We asked people what is important to you, and I saw you how submerged you are into certain topics of manufacture, and you even got the people's location and everything. I really like that passion on you. What was your day like?
Yeah, I think people, just like Drew said, this is about people. When it really comes down to it, we're people working with people, and we might be working with highly technical systems here, but at the end of the day, I think we're all out here to try to help people and advance the way we support industry. Something that we say at Mission, where I work, is we're building relationships to help make the world a better place. That is the truth. And even though what we're doing is highly technical, at the end of the day, it is to support people having better jobs, people having safer jobs where they're supported and they're not getting hurt doing backbreaking work. And just to kind of segment into talking with Sai today, Sai Nalaturi, we were talking about AI, and I think that's an area where I think people are nervous and excited about where AI is going. But one thing I had asked him, what would you tell your younger self? And he said that you're not going to automate everything. And that's something that we talk about a lot too. At the end of the day, you need humans in the loop. You need people working on ruling the system. And you can automate so many tasks to do 80% of the work that is easy to automate. And then you can free up your people to do the 10 to 20% of the work that really requires critical thinking and creative thought.
I love the fact that you touch up on it, because we're talking about manufacturing, advancement, innovation, plastics, 3D. A lot of people might think, oh wait, I don't want that. That's negative. Let's keep it organic. Let's keep it rustic. But maybe we're not improving the quality or the things that we can, as humans, save lives, right? Or future generations. How do we reconcile this? What is your point of view on this, Chris?
I'm going to start by saying I do like certain things in life to be rustic, like my architecture, but not necessarily my manufacturing. I think a big part of it comes down to awareness and going beyond plastics, for example, getting into materials in general, because when we're talking about plastics is just, it's a broad term to capture a number of materials, but as some materials that you might put in the human body as part of a medical procedure, those are meant to be absorbed. They're called resorbable materials that end up being absorbed by the human body, right? That's a good thing. We need more of that type of stuff. And I think one of the important aspects about moving beyond some of those impressions is it really gets down to what a buzzword we hear about a lot in industry means. I'm talking about the word sustainability. We throw that around all the time because every company wants to be sustainable, right? That's a goal everyone has. But to really, truly be sustainable, it doesn't just mean you're recycling paper at your headquarters or factory, wherever it is. It really gets down to we are making advancements in our manufacturing materials, in our manufacturing process, that are better for the environment and being able to almost quantify those impacts as you go through it. So those are some of my thoughts on that topic.
What are your thoughts, Anne? Because I see you very thoughtful, pensive.
Yeah, some great perspectives here. Of course, I love learning more about people and the way people work and giving people more meaningful work and sustainability and everything. But I mean, you know, the impact of AI also is huge. It's interesting to hear different perspectives from different industries on the applications of how they're using AI to grow their business and how they're incorporating it for future work as well. Another thing for me that's really interesting to hear more about is the design and also the forthcoming trends. You know, if we kind of had it, and this is something that Marley and I were talking a little bit more, but if we kind of had it our way, right, in the next decade, what are some of the things that we want our industry to be? And I think that we really have to, if we're going to participate in the industry, we have to have ownership of that. And we have to see that vision and drive that, right? So that's been really exciting to learn more about as well.
And as we mentioned before, right? I don't know if it was you, Jacob, or you, Sammy, but we mentioned the solution to a lot of the issues, it's got to be right here within ourselves. Yes, there are problems, the advancement, the innovations, the tech, but how do we solve it once we have the answer? Would you like to say something, Drew?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, you know, forums like this and platforms like this are taking a big chunk out of that unknown and all of those things, right? And I believe that if you just look at the range of guests that we had today from all of us, we had, you know, women CEOs, we had startups, we had crazy diversity, we had a range of ages, we had young people, we had OGs, right? And having this place in a forum where people are able to have a platform, express what they're doing, express what we need to fix, that's how the conversations start going, right? And outside of those conversations, then we can begin to have a blueprint of action, and we can say, let's test this thing. Let's see if our ideas that we were bouncing around works. And I think that that's why these are important to have. You know, we love to have the trade shows that have the technology for us to see, for us to buy, for us to, you know, interact with, but the conversations are just as important. And the people that have a seat at the table are equally important, and having a range of those opinions and experiences to be shown is how we start to have conversations that move the ball.
Well, I know Jacob promised me what we can expect for tomorrow and Thursday. You said different colors of suspenders, correct? What colors were they?
Tomorrow we're doing
Yeah.
khaki.
Khaki?
We got a pink shirt. We're going to have some cream jeans and light colored shoes.
Nice. So for
drip.
tomorrow
Are we doing
have
Are
that.
we doing pink tomorrow? Because I'm going to do pink.
I'm
with you,
doing
bro.
What about the
Tomorrow, yeah.
shoes? The shoes that Drew brought today, they're red, velvety, shiny.
Yes.
Love those
Yes.
shoes.
Achievement
We
unlocked.
can't see the
Yeah.
front of the shoe,
Yeah.
though. You got
Hold
to
on.
take it off.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I
Oh, put it
want
back
to
up. They switched
find
cameras.
for tomorrow what in the
Oh,
world are
look
we
at
expecting?
So tomorrow is Wednesday, and as the Mean Girls quote suggests, on Wednesdays we wear pink. So is that
Let's
something?
go.
Are we doing that?
I'm wearing a pink suit, 3-piece tomorrow. So yes, I will be.
What do we expect for Christian? Because he says that he wakes up with the hair. He's like perfectly fine. He looks as cool as a cucumber no matter what. What do we expect for tomorrow?
I'm just going to go to sleep in my suit tonight so that I wake up in a suit, just to continue to keep that impression going.
I would think that gives you personality. You know, it's a little wrinkle here, a wrinkle there. You know, that's the way it's supposed to go.
Also makes me like a cartoon character, right? Where you see that person wake up and fly out of bed, they're already dressed and ready to go. It's like SpongeBob SquarePants style right there.
If only this gentleman will learn about the maturity of the woman on this stage. But, we cannot expect everything. They can only be smart, and that's about it. But, we'll forgive you guys.
Burn.
So what do we
take it.
expect for tomorrow, guys? I mean, what is exciting for tomorrow? Who will want to share something?
I wanted to jump in real quick with something that I'm excited tomorrow. All of my favorite interviewees are coming this week. I love all my interviews, but there's going to be one discussion where I'm going to be talking with Will Healy about human-centric automation. I am hyped for talking about that.
Can you please define that? Because my Mexican ears are not necessarily in tune with what you just said.
So human-centric automation. So not just collaborative robots, which means that you'll have these robots that are safe to work next to you, bump into you. There's certain places, like I just went to Japan last year for 20 days, and there was a cafe. I'm not going to share the whole story because I don't want to ruin it, but there was a cafe where it was ran by people with severe social challenges, or people that were actually set up in hospitals that can't go into work because of certain disabilities or challenges they have, and they were operating and controlling these service robots from wherever they were. And each of the robots had their name, and they could speak to you, and they could see you through a camera and interact with you. So it was this beautiful place where robots and people are working together to help get over, not just provide a service, but get over mental challenges. And they have so many more innovations that are human-centric when it comes to mental health, robotics, and just innovations. And I'm pumped for tomorrow to talk about that.
And we were talking also about artificial intelligence. I mean, for instance, Drew, when I think about it, like the metaverse and the goggles, and you're thinking, okay, that's going to be something very different because you're going to be learning so many new experiences, even teaching, even just person like me, journalism, you might want to start giving the stories in a 3D world. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's amazing. I think, I'm big on workforce. I'm big on getting more people into our industry, no matter where they are. And a lot of time that entails removing barriers, right? And in a training barrier, a lot of times, these machines are expensive. So there are rural schools and there are urban schools that want to teach this stuff, but they can't afford a $100,000 machine. They can't afford, the things to run this stuff on. So having a AR or a VR environment where they can put on goggles and have that machine in a digital place is going to remove a lot of the barriers for training so that we can get our pipeline back and we can fill all of these jobs that we've got missing. I'm
excited.
super excited about the AR and the VR aspect.
What about tomorrow? Because your interviews today were amazing. Tell us about tomorrow.
So tomorrow, I'm not going to let anybody know what we're doing. My guests are a secret. However, there's going to be a lot of impact. There's going to be a lot of great stuff that you guys can pull out of this. So see us tomorrow. I don't want to take no shine off of what Jacob just said because Will's my boy too, and I think that's going to be an important conversation. So I'm looking forward to all of my guests tomorrow, but I'm also looking forward to sitting on that yellow cube right there and watching Jacob and Will do their thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited too. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I can't pick favorites either. I know I've got a lineup of 3 great guests back to back to back tomorrow. One of which is a reunion with someone that I've met when I first started manufacturing happy hour like 7 years ago. Nice. So kind of a full circle moment as well there. Again, back to what I said earlier, I know the topics that are coming up go beyond plastics manufacturing. Yes, we're going to be talking about R&D in the plastics world. We're going to be talking about why companies are placing their bets in the plastics industry right now. But we're also going to be covering, how you go about leaving a full-time job you've been in for a long time to start your own company. So getting back to that human element that a lot of us have been talking about. You can't talk manufacturing without talking human.
And I love that because we were talking about it, right, Sammy? I mean, we're talking about the personal aspect, the way that you're envisioning things, and how you say, I grew up as an artsy girl. I was not even thinking about this until finally it came up to you. And you enjoy this, you love it, you breathe through it, and you're an expert on it.
Yeah, I kind of say like automation chose me. I didn't choose it, and I'm so glad it did. I thought I was going to move to New York and be a writer when I got out of school, and I was like, well, I've got this writing degree, and I need to use it. And there's a company that is an automation company who needs writers, so I'll go get started there. I had never even seen a robot until 11 years ago on my first walkthrough, and I was really scared. It was intimidating because I never saw myself in that place, and I never thought that that was for me. But it's so cool that I have that experience, because I think there's a lot of people coming up in school that don't know that there's so many cool jobs in the space because they don't feel like they identify with it. And so that's something that we try to tell students all the time when we have them through to talk tours, like, hey, there are jobs that are in automation and manufacturing that are, and design, of course, that go beyond just engineering or machine building or a person with a wrench in their hand. There's coding. There's people that are into gamification now. That's a huge part of the way people are learning. And if we can just keep spreading the word and getting, like Drew said, a forum together where we can build community around it and talk to people about all the cool things that we can do, I think we're all going to be better for it.
We need more of you guys, because the fact that you actually went into automation by not by chance. You were not even thinking about it. That was just a coincidence. And for instance, Anne, you were telling me today, you recruit engineers. So your mind is focused 100% on trying to bring the best people in their area, but people that really can do the job. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do recruit engineers, but I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, the technical talent aspect, and it's interesting how manufacturing as a whole is developing. And that was something that I'm really excited about, because growing up, I mean, if you were not technically inclined, like I'm not, and like really working with your hands like I'm not, it wasn't an idea that you would go into manufacturing. And now, I'm lucky enough to be sitting here with some other amazing creatives in this industry, and we're kind of developing this whole new career path, this whole new niche that I don't think previously existed. And I think it's really cool because you're kind of combining some of those creative skills with the technical skills and merging those together and creating a space for everyone.
I want to just say, manufacturing took me from prison to MIT. So if I could do it, everybody could do it. And I think that that's what we have to show. And that's what we got to continue to push, that this is a field for everybody, whether you feel like you're super technical or not. Like, I went to a school that I wasn't engaged at all, right? The teachers were underpaid. They were overworked. And, I didn't think that I had any skills, and I wasn't good at anything. And I randomly went into a shop, got hired on the saw, and then found out that I can program. I can be an engineer. I can do digital design. I can do these things, but it's not until you're in the environment, or at least the environment exists, to be able to put yourself in there and see what you're capable of. So I think that, that goes back to removing barriers. And this is a part of doing that, reaching the people where they are, giving them representations of different types of people in the industry, and showing them that this is a place for them no matter where they are.
Can we toast to that real quick? Because I think that deserves an applause. Drew, thank you for sharing.
Shout out to manufacturing.
News and Brews,
Amazing. Drew Crow's amazing.
Amazing, inspiring. Thank you, Drew. Thank you for sharing that. Chris.
I was going to say, there are a lot of folks across the age range in this audience right now. People have been in this industry for a long time. We also have the next generation represented in our audience right now as well.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that I heard up here was manufacturing is an industry that can allow you to exercise your creative side, your engineering mind, your analytical mind. Regardless of where you come from, what your strengths are, there are opportunities in this space. And I want people to walk away knowing that, whether you're not even close to starting your career, whether you're halfway through your career, you can take a lot of very unique, different paths that play to your strengths in this space.
You guys are an inspiration, I have to say that. Thank you, thank you. We have some audience. Most of them are already walking, but does anyone in the audience have a question at all? And if so, raise your hand.
You don't got to ask no question.
We got someone right here.
I want to just shout out Courtney right quick.
There we go.
Yes,
What up, though?
Courtney! It's not on yet, but it hopefully will be soon. Can I run out
Wanna
with
take
my
mine,
mic?
Leah?
Yeah.
Come on up. Come on up. Hang out with us.
Hello. Okay. First of all, thank you for acknowledging the diversity in manufacturing, automation, and everything else that's happening here today. I'm curious for someone who, has a technical background but came from, more blue-collar roots in Indiana. What opportunities do you see to add a lot of value and maybe create a business?
Great question. I love it. Who wants to answer?
So I'll start if y'all are cool. It starts with asking those questions and putting yourself out there to be able to get these answers. So number one, thank you for that. Cheers to you for sticking your neck out and asking the questions. Number two, I will say there's a Rust Belt revival going on, and there is a lot of interest in that area as far as work coming back, government stuff, a lot of things. So I think that you're in a prime position to be able to go out on your own. I think that just the thought of doing it is all you need, and you got a panel of people, I think, that are willing to help you. So I would say if you're open to it, reach out to all of us. Let's connect on LinkedIn after this, and let's reach out to our network and see what resources we can bring around her.
I want to jump in with something where if it's looking to start a business and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, what do people need, what do you want to help with, something that is always going to be around, something that's going to hit our industry. I don't care if it's blue collar work, white collar work, whatever work you're doing that's going to hit us hard coming soon is the education, the training, developing these skill sets to keep them around longer once some of the people that have, like the OGs that have been in this for a while, are leaving to have their relaxation life, do what they want to do. People need to be trained. People need to be skilled, and we need to be able to cultivate, document, and keep that going. I think that would be a huge business, especially because there's a lot of businesses that still don't even know how to do it themselves. If you were to start coming in and being able to be the point leader on that, and not just creating the curriculum, but producing a strategy, producing something to keep the ball rolling for them. The biggest thing that I feel a lot of companies have with their goals is consistency. If you can be that point guard on that and keeping things consistent and moving, you're going to be big.
I love that.
I'll say this as well. There's a major opportunity right now in a lot of places, but definitely in the Midwest for succession, right? There's a lot of manufacturers that are old and they are on their way out, and they've got a lot of grandfathered in contracts.
Yeah.
They have a lot of work that they don't know what to do with when they leave, right?
Exit strategy.
And so a lot of them don't have that exit strategy or a succession plan in place. They don't have kids that want the plant, or they just don't have kids, period, because they've been dedicated to building this company. So I would say connect with your local, if there's an NTMA chapter, your manufacturing associations, and let them know, hey, I want to start a manufacturing company. And there might be people that say, hey, I don't have anybody to pass this on to. Let's talk, right? But succession is a huge problem that we have right now, where there are a lot of shops that the owners are aging out and they have nowhere to go. And for me, it's a national security threat, right? Because if we don't continue to make the things here that they were making, it's going to get outsourced and we're going to lose that work for a long time. So we need you.
I love that. Any other questions you have in me?
First of all, thank you guys.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. Anybody else has a question? You're beautiful. Just so you know, yes, you are gorgeous. Who else has a question, guys, before
We got
you
the
walk
same
away?
hair.
I know those gentlemen in the back.
Yeah, those gentlemen in the back, do they have questions?
Boys in the back, I know you got a question for me. Let me hear it.
Go get them. Go get them. Don't let them go away.
Yeah, right.
That's what the question is about. What time they close this area? Well, guys, I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. Hi, guys. My name is Anna. I'm visiting from Japan today.
Hi, Anna.
And I was really interested in what you guys were saying about some people start out not necessarily having that background in technology and manufacturing, and they just kind of jump into the industry by chance. And that was exactly the same for me. And I'm just wondering, what are the barriers that are keeping people who would otherwise be really, really good in the industry from entering the world, and how can we remove those barriers?
So let's say if I can get the question correct, what areas are the ones that are developing at this point the most? So for people that are barely entering in the industry, is that correct?
Yeah, and for people who don't necessarily have that background, who are maybe more artistically inclined like me, how can we, find people who would be really, really good in the industry but don't really necessarily know how to get in?
We got a couple of people that want to answer. And do you want to say something?
Yeah, so I'm a recruiter by trade. That's like my day job, right? So in recruiting, that's something that comes up a lot when we're talking about transferable skill sets and how to get started in manufacturing. Really, I would lean into what you like to do. What is interesting to you about manufacturing? The gateway for me was really going to a plant floor and seeing robotics. And then I was like, I want to work in this space. But I don't have an engineering degree and I'm not super technical. So how can I use my skill sets and what I have to work in this space? So identifying what your drive is and how you want to work in that space is definitely number one. And then from there, you can take a lot of your soft skills, like collaborative skills, communication skills, critical thinking skills, and just kind of apply those within that space. But that's what is so great about manufacturing, and that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit with how it's advancing as an industry. There are so many different career paths to choose from. I don't think that's always at face value. I don't think that that's something that is like right there, right in front of us all the time. So in any application or space you are already working in, there's probably a manufacturing job for that. So the key thing to do from there, once you've made those critical decisions and thought that out, is to really connect with other professionals and network with other professionals in that space. So when I started recruiting, I started networking with recruiting professionals. And I would niche that down to manufacturing recruiting professionals. And then I began to evolve and learn things from them and apply those for my own business as well. And now I'm learning other things and other dimensions about the manufacturing space that I'm continuing to apply to grow my career. Again, that's just kind of my example and what I've experienced, but I think that's a good base plan and a suggestion for you as well. I hope that helps.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who's next? Christian, you want to say something?
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
Go ahead, Sammy.
So what I would do if I were in your if you're talking about yourself, if I were in your shoes, I would do some research on some companies in the space that you can tell align with your values. And so if you can understand like what companies you feel like, okay, I value people that believe in education, and can I find information about how they're supporting the next workforce, or like Chris said earlier, sustainability. So if those are some of the values that are important to you, you can scope them out. And then, like Ann was saying, it's easy to connect on LinkedIn. And we're so lucky now to have these tools at our disposal that we can connect with people. And what I have found in our industry is that this network is so helpful. Like if you meet, all you need to do is connect with somebody. I've connected with Jacob about a year ago, and then he's connected me with other people and vice versa. And so we're so lucky to be working in an area where it's an abundant place for all. And I think if you, like Ann said, just follow like what you are interested in doing and then start making these connections that build your puzzle, I think you can find a space to land for sure.
I also say this real quick. Anybody that says they're an expert in our field is full of it. You know what I'm saying? So don't get intimidated at all by what you don't know. I think that is actually a strength because you can learn. And as long as you have that aspect of, I'm going to learn something every day, you're going to get better, but also everybody else around you is going to get better because of it, right? So, I think a lot of us are the same, but I got into this industry, I had no idea what it was. I had no idea, what anything, like, I didn't know what CNC was. I didn't know what a lathe was, calipers. I didn't know any of that, right? But I wanted to learn. And the more that I wanted to learn, people started to sew into me. And then I started getting that technical foundation. And then from there, I could say, oh, I'm good at this, or I like this, or, this is what really draws me in. But if you look at this conference right now, things are changing so rapidly in our industry. Every single day, there's something else that you can learn. So anybody that tries to hold that over you or say you're not good enough because you don't have that, that's the first indication of this is not where I want to be, and find somewhere else. But just start. My grandma used to always say, we didn't have a car growing up, right? And I used to want to go places. Let's go to Six Flags or the mall. And she said, take the Chevrolet. And I was like, yo, we don't have a car. What are you talking about? And she said, shove your left foot and lay the right one, right? So I would say take the Chevrolet in manufacturing. Just start walking, and you'll find your path in your journey.
I love it.
I wanted to harp on something.
Of course,
real
go ahead,
quick.
Jacob. Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, that was yours, huh? I want to harp on something real quick. To Drew's point, the way I got into this industry, I signed up for cooking class, so home ec, my freshman year in high school, because I wanted an easy A, and it was full. And so they throw you into whatever's open. So I got thrown into the engineering class, and I was furious. I was this angry little freshman that hated getting put into what I thought was this nerd class, and I was pissed. I sat in the back of the class with the skater kids, and I was like, I'm not going to do this work. And then look at what I've done now. The past 10 years, my life has been in manufacturing and automation. I want Chris to get in on this, but I just wanted to let you know.
Hold on, real quick.
That's
Can
what
you
happened.
cook? Can you cook?
Oh, dude, I cook great.
Okay, you can still cook. Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm about to say we just missed out on Chef Jacob Sanchez.
No wonder he had all the tacos today, because I don't have to cook this time. You better cook for us, Chris.
I'm going to do what I do best as a podcaster, which is summarize what I've heard from all the great answers that have already been given, because it's going to be tough for me to add on top of what's already been said. But Anne kicked it off with a very important piece of advice, which I heard essentially was play to your strengths, know what you're good at, and focus on those areas. Sammy added in talking about look at the specific companies. Like, we're not talking about industries, we're not talking about verticals. We could talk about that, but I think she hit on a point that's incredibly important, which is you want to go somewhere where you're going to fit in, where they're going to embrace you, who you are as a person, what you're good at. Look for a company with the right culture. What I heard from Drew adding to that is adopt a continuous learning mindset and don't be afraid to ask questions. And then I'll interpret this my own way a little bit. I'm being a little liberal here, but I think what Jacob brought up is, take advantage of new opportunities that are thrown your way, even if they weren't the ones that are expected, like that you were expecting. I think if you do those 4 things, you stand an incredible chance of having the best job you can imagine in the manufacturing industry.
Wow. Drop mic or mic drop. Which one is it?
That's my next keynote.
I love it. Guys, I love today. Thank you so much. And thank you all for the questions. The ones that didn't ask questions, we'll forgive you. I want to encourage everyone to come tomorrow. We have a lot of the interviews. I'm excited. I'm really excited because I'm learning a lot as well. And not just for that, because you guys are an inspiration. It makes people want to learn more about it, be more involved, and try to get as much information as we can. Are we ready for tomorrow then?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Bring
This
it
is
on.
it. News and Brews team. Till tomorrow. Hasta mañana, chicos.
All
Buenas tardes.
right.